had to be on the move into the garage. Welcome to our garage studio.
I just show up and talk.
That's right.
That's all I do. That's
it.
All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
You ready?
No, that's all right.
She's not ready. Just for us?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's one for each of you right there. And all right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 2, episode 2 of the Strongly Worded podcast. I'm Sue O'Lear.
And I am Johnny Hampton.
And we are here in our lovely dining room studio in Palm Coast, Florida. We have a pretty special episode today. We have guests. We have heard from several of our listeners that it would be fun to hear us have strongly worded conversations with guests, and so we've invited some with us today. Last episode, we kind of introduced our story arc for this season, right? And we're kind of talking about hometowns, towns you live in, the communities you live in, how they impact you, how you impact them. And one of the first people I thought about when we kind of started talking about this idea was our guest today. We have sitting right here a radio star in and of itself. You have a Friday night radio show, right, that I'm excited to talk about for a minute. You're an author of I don't know how many books. 12 now.
Really? Maybe 15, depending on how you count.
Yeah. And you are the executive producer of a television show soon to be filmed right here in Flagler Beach. Tim Baker, welcome to
Hi,
the
Sue.
show.
Hi, Johnny. Great to be here.
And with you is your co-executive producer. Oh, I didn't ask you how to say your last name.
Stephanie Mazzeo.
Mazzeo. See, I would have said it wrong. I'm sorry.
I say
Stephanie
Mazzeo.
Yeah, that's where I was headed.
Whatever you want to say, it works
That's
for me.
totally where I was headed. So, welcome.
Thank you.
We're
It's great to
excited
be
to
here.
have you here. So I met you, Tim, first because we have a mutual friend.
That's correct.
And we've shared some beverages and music.
Several
beverages and lots of conversation about music. And then I get to listen to you on Friday nights. Tell me about your radio show real quick.
The radio show is called the Friday Night Music Extravaganza. It airs on Surf 97.3 FM right here in Flagler Beach. Oh, right there in Flagler Beach. I forget where in Palm Coast. I've been doing it since about 2013, and my co-host, Phys Ed, he joined me in 2017 because at the time I had a broken collarbone and I couldn't maneuver all the controls by myself, so I needed an extra set of hands. So I brought him in, and for the first couple of months he refused to even speak on the air.
Are you kidding me, Ed?
Now I can't stop him.
Ed refused to speak on the air? That is surprising to me.
He wouldn't even let me turn his mic on.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
No.
Johnny's met Ed.
I've had dinner with Ed. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Because when I met him, he treated me like he knew me for 20 years.
Yeah, usually you can't shut him up.
Right?
And which is what he is. That's what he's become now.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening too.
Yeah. So that's I enjoy listening to that, and you've actually,
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm sure you guys know, once you get rolling, sometimes you realize, oh, time's up. We got to stop now. And yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is. I enjoy that. And Stephanie, tell me a little bit about how you come to sit here today. Tell me about yourself.
Well, starting back when I moved to Florida, it was 1996, so I've been here quite a while. Been in Flagler Beach my whole time here, so it's not like I came from Miami or Tampa or anywhere else. And then in around 2012, 2013, I had, through mutual friends, gone to one of these writing workshops where there was like a bunch of writers all getting together and just talking different ideas, and that's when I met Tim. So over the years, I kept telling him, why isn't one of your, books being turned into a movie? And that's pretty much what all started this whole thing.
So it's the credit goes to you.
Well, no, not
It
really,
does.
because if there was
Yes,
no
it
book,
No
there
matter
would be
what
no
she
show.
says, no matter what she says, that is absolutely true.
Not true.
So,
She, yeah.
No.
We'll get more into that.
yeah,
I'm
we'll
sure.
get into that.
Yeah.
So that's why, one of the reasons we invited you here today, one of the things that I learned about you having those beverages and ribs, I believe, over music.
Oh, I missed the ribs. That's when I broke my collarbone.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
okay. All
That's the
right.
day I was supposed to be there. It was April Fool's Day, 2017. And I was on my motorcycle with my brother, and I miscalculated the width of the road and ended up in the ditch and was in the
Holy
hospital.
cow.
But yeah, I was supposed to go to Ed's house with you and Joe, and we were supposed to have ribs, and never happened.
well,
But we did-
we've done it.
But we have
subsequently.
met there several times
Yes.
without ribs.
Without ribs, but with beverages and music.
He needs a makeup ribs.
I do. Say that again. I don't
Makeup
think I heard
ribs.
you.
We need makeup ribs. But another thing that we talked about was the fact that you're an author of several books, which I think is pretty amazing. Self-published.
Self-published, independently published.
I'm quite.
I
correct
think that's great.
Thank you.
I've always wanted to write a book.
Then do it.
Then do it.
That's
When you wrote your first one, did you just sit down in front of your keyboard, or like, what's your
Typewriter.
it's an interesting story. I actually enjoy telling the story because it's kind of interesting. I moved to Florida, as I said, in 2006, and the only people I knew were my family. I had two brothers, a sister, and my mother were here. Really, outside of that, knew nobody. And so I had a job. I was working construction in St. Augustine, and one night I woke up in the morning after having had this really strange dream about two friends from Rhode Island who don't know each other. And I woke up the next morning, I'm like, well, what the hell? You know, in the dream, we were on a dock, and these two were underwater trying to get a box of gold out of a sunken boat. And I'm like, what the? You know, I was just trying to figure out what's going on. So all day long, I was obsessed with this dream, like, because I always think there's some kind of backstory. Like, I must have been thinking something to cause this. So that night when I came home from work, I just sat down at my computer, and I just started creating the backstory for that dream. And before I knew it, I was writing a book. And that book is now called, it was my first book. It came out, it took me a year to write the first draft because I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
And then it took another year for it to be edited and all that. But in 2009, it was released. It's called Living the Dream.
Living the dream.
And that's it.
So when you were first writing it, I mean, did you have ideas that you would,
No.
shop it around?
Nope, never.
No.
It wasn't until the first draft was finished, I let a couple of people read it, like my brother, my sister, a couple of friends, and they all said, it's a little rough around the edges because it's a first draft, but it's definitely got some potential. So I took it to the next level. And even after that was released, I never planned on writing a second one. But before I knew what I was
another
doing,
dream?
I just started writing a second one. Then I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I have stopped now because I don't have time to write another book anymore.
And that's part of the reason why we have you here today, right?
Yeah.
So there are a couple episodes in our season one in particular, where we were talking about social media, and we kind of ended it with the thought of how so many aspects of social media have allowed for positive things like self-promotion.
Yes.
Right?
Oh.
Another
for sure.
time when I thought that you would be a good fit for a conversation.
Oh.
You have taken one of your books and worked with. Did you work with the screenwriter? You didn't
Well,
do the adaptation.
No, and this is what I said earlier about this one being the impetus, inspiration, if you will. As she said, every time we saw each other, she would always ask me, "What's going on with your books? How come there's not a movie?" And last January, we were at an event. What was it? The Home Show. And she asked me again, and I said, the problem is very simple. In order for somebody to make a movie out of your book, they have to know the book exists. And I mean, as much as I do have a pretty respectable readership, Steven Spielberg is not one of my fans. So she said, well, it's not an unsolvable problem. I mean, those weren't her exact words, but that was her sentiment. And we, the event that day, we went home, see you later, and about a week later, she sent me a message, said, I have two people from my filmmaking group in Daytona, and they're interested in talking to you about your book. And I said, all right, let's go. So Stephanie and I and two other people, Graham and Kelly, we met at the Fridays in Ormond. And we sat down and...
On Granada Boulevard.
Yes, exactly. To this day, it still amazes me. We sat down in the booth. She introduced me to Graham and Kelly, and the conversation went immediately from nice to meet you to here's what we have in mind. And it hasn't stopped. And it took a pause from COVID, obviously. We had a few meetings. We threw some ideas around. The original plan, we were going to create a little 10-minute video that Graham was going to film with his iPhone. we were going to then use that as a selling feature to present to Netflix or
teaser.
whoever. Yes. Since then, after the 8-month COVID break, we got together again at the beginning of November, and Stephanie said, you know what? Why don't we just independently release a pilot episode for a TV series? Because this particular book, which I guess we can talk about later, is ideal for a TV series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I finished the book.
Did you really?
I got
Nice.
so when you know, excuse me, when we found out you were coming, I wanted to know what the book was, and I got the audio book.
Nice. I have to apologize for that because the narrator, from what I've been told, the narrator isn't the best.
He's all right.
He's all right.
I don't like. I didn't like when he spoke for Lita, the accent.
Yeah.
But other than that, he was good.
It's got to be
He
tough.
actually tried to do a Lita accent.
I think he did something.
That had to
just-
be painful.
Hey, listen. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, like I don't know how that all works, but you have to do something to kind of distinguish.
Yes.
Right.
I was
So-
never a big fan of audiobooks, but I got so many people saying I love to listen to books in my car.
No, and that's what I did.
So
Every day
you have
going to work.
Give the people what they want.
Right. It was actually the first time I have ever listened to an audiobook.
Oh, really?
The first time.
Wow.
I listen
Really?
to podcasts.
Really?
Yeah, but I like to, and so I first bought the book and was starting to read it on my Kindle. And I was running out of time, and then Johnny said, I'm going to get the audio. So I went back and got the audio and did the same thing. Started listening to it in the car. I didn't finish it, but I'm so close to the end, so
Oh, there you go.
we're not going to spoil it.
I have finished it
All right, you get the gold star.
in preparation.
See that? That's the guy who does his research.
That's right.
Right? I
And
started it.
we're
I'm
switching.
almost there.
We're switching roles today. Usually, no research here.
Oh, wow.
Well, and I would say how close to the end I am, but I don't want to spoil it for
Right.
anybody.
Yeah, you
so
can't
I'm
spoil
gonna hold on, but I'm close is all I'm saying. But you said this. You said it took a pause during COVID. Now,
Yeah.
you know, I've had a couple conversations with people who took the COVID pause to make some things happen. And you, as a creative person, I'm sure were not. I read your
Well-
Facebook status updates.
I was writing. I was still
I was
writing.
gonna say you were at least writing entertainment
Yeah.
on Facebook for me.
With my squirrels.
I know they're hilarious.
No, but because everything in the pre-production phase, it was all just meetings.
Yeah.
And then we brought a couple other people on board, and when COVID was raging, not that it isn't anymore, but it's very difficult to have meetings with 5 or 6 people, and still try to be safe, because we all want to be safe. So we kind of took a break, and then at the beginning of November, she messaged me, and she's like, basically, she did, and these are my words, not hers. She basically said, "I'm sick of waiting. Let's get back onto this." And I said, "Okay." So we did, and from that day, I mean, that was like November 5th or something. It has grown. You would not believe what has been accomplished in the last 2.5 months. It boggles my mind, and I've been involved in it. It's crazy. We've got a team of about 15, maybe 20 people. 27 people. We've got a Hollywood director. We've got 3 seasoned Hollywood actresses. We've got a crew of local actors, mostly Florida actors, who are incredibly talented. We've got technical people. We've got casting director. We've got a production manager. Stephanie does all the work. I mean, I'm really just the face of the organization. She does all the work. She's like the lion tamer in this outfit.
Who does that sound like, Johnny?
Sounds very familiar.
I feel you.
I tell people all the time, I show up and talk.
That's pretty much what I do. We have meetings every week, and I just sit there.
Show up and talk.
That's hilarious. Well, just so long as we both recognize that. No, I'm kidding. But, okay, so let's take one step back and just tell the audience. The name of the book is Unfinished Business.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about the story.
The story revolves around a woman named Meg, and she's a mortician. And through an unexplained phenomenon, Meg is suddenly compelled to act out the final thought of the people she embalms. Anytime a body comes into her funeral parlor, as soon as she touches the body, whatever was on their mind when they died, she has to see that thought through. At first, it's relatively harmless. You know, the usual things you would think of: telling somebody you love them, telling somebody that what they meant to the, you know. But as it has to happen in a book or a movie, whatever, things take a turn for the worse when she embalms the body of a convicted murderer who had revenge on his mind, which puts her in some trouble. And then you've got the simultaneously running story of a detective who's investigating a nightclub owner. And when the nightclub owner gets killed and the evidence points to Meg, he's kind of sure that something weird is going on. So then things really take off from there.
Yeah, they sure do. So, and it's pretty obvious why, from reading the book, why it would make for an episodic.
Exactly.
From the third chapter, I was like, oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, as soon as you read it, you think of other TV shows that have tried to do something similar, but this book is better than that.
Thank
It,
you.
it really is. And
I agree.
I didn't read anything about the book, no synopsis, so I didn't know what it was about.
Oh,
So I listened to the first chapter and I was like, oh, that's. And then the second chapter, I was like, oh.
It takes about chapter 3 till you finally understand.
Yeah, I
where the
was like,
story's going.
oh,
Yeah.
this is a great idea.
it's not the first time I've been told that.
No, but listen, as a writer, it sets you up for a good journey
Yes.
because you don't guess what's coming first. So that's how I felt when I was listening to the book.
Cool.
And it leaves it open to continue the series.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes, it absolutely does.
Yeah, we've also got a seasoned Hollywood screenwriter who's converting the book into the screenplay. You need scripts before you. This is what I've learned. One of the most important things I've learned is that nothing happens until you have a script.
Right, that's true.
So
Did you have a treatment at any point, or
No.
we just
No.
okay?
We had a book. That
The
was
book
it.
the book is
But
good
the
enough.
book, I mean, fortunately, the book was enough to attract the right people, who then connected us with this screenwriter. His name is Paul Conway,
Yes.
and he's a great guy. He lives in L.A. and he's converting it into a series, and he's already told us several times how perfect it is for it.
Has he done any other work that you were aware of?
I had never heard of him until this.
Yeah.
And he has done other work. Unfortunately, I can't recount it off the top of my head. Oh, that's right. He wrote the script for a movie called Bagman with Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, just a Robert De Niro.
Just a Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you wrote this book, you never thought about it being a TV show?
I didn't think of it at all in that respect until, I sent it out to some independent reviewing agencies, and one of them was called the New York Indie Review, and they came back with their review, and the big quote from their review was that it was fertile ground for a movie or a TV series. And that was the first I had ever thought of that when they said that. I actually put that quote on the cover of the book because I thought it was cool. But yeah, other than that, I always thought that I would love to see any of my books made into a movie or a TV show, but the actual thought that it could possibly happen was kind of like, didn't think, like.
Well, it's probably a good thing when you're writing like that, because I would think that as a writer, you need to write for the story and not.
Yeah. And that's what I do. When I'm writing the story, to me, I'm a movie guy. I love movies, and when I'm writing a book, basically I'm just entertaining myself. I'm writing a movie that I would want to watch, and that's what the book was. It was just a movie that I would want to watch. I do have to say the inspiration for this book came from an actual woman named Meg Seabury. I met her at a friend's house, and found out after the fact, after I met her, that she was a mortician, and her and I got to talk and had a few conversations, and the idea for the book came to me, and she was gracious enough to sit down with me for 3 hours and tell me everything that I could ever imagine needing to know about the funeral business.
Well, I tell you, that was going to be one of my
Wow.
upcoming questions was about the research that had to go into
It's
this.
I can honestly say that I know more than I want to know about the funeral business, and so does Stephanie now. Right?
Yes, unfortunately. It
What
is.
was one of the most shocking things you learned? or something that grabbed you?
I wouldn't say that I learned anything shocking. There were a lot of things that I just never thought of. For example, that after everything, the body is stressed, and they have to sew your eyelids shut and sew your lips together so that they don't open at the wrong time. But little things like that. But then I asked Meg what was the hardest part of her job, and she just looked at me and she said children, and I was like, oh.
You never think about that. You don't think about that.
Yeah, that was tough. Like, infants, and it's like, because as a parent, who wants to go through that? But she told me some great stories, interesting stories. I think one of the most fascinating things she told me was that to survive in her business, you absolutely have to have a sense of humor, which may sound kind of distasteful.
It doesn't.
I get it.
I get that.
You couldn't. She said you couldn't survive in that business if you don't have the ability to laugh at life, not death, but life.
Yeah.
So
what does she think of it? I imagine she read the book, right?
She's over the moon excited. We actually went and met with her yesterday. She works at a funeral home in New Smyrna Beach, and we went yesterday. We met with her. We toured the funeral home. Most of us toured all of it. Some of us not.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yep, not when there's dead bodies in there.
No way.
No.
So she gave us a tour. Because we're going to film we're actually going to use the funeral home she works in to film for the most part. There are a couple of rooms we're going to recreate, out of respect. We don't want to use the actual room, but she gave us the whole tour. She's super excited. She is actually listed as the technical advisor on the show.
Great.
Nice.
So whenever we're filming on set, she'll be there to say, nope, that's not the way it will be, or yeah, you're doing a good job. And I think she's probably as excited as I am.
That's really cool. So you're going to film mostly on location. Where's your studio? Are you going to have?
Right now we're still scouting locations. Like I said, we will film at the funeral home in New Smyrna. We will film at the Golden Lion some scenes, because all of my books. This is something that people who read them know. There are three main characters in almost all of my books. One of them, his name is Ralph Donabedian. He's in a wheelchair. He's a bookie, and he owns the Golden Lion. And his muscle, Ike, is the hero of most of my books. He makes a cameo in this book, but he's not the hero. And then Ike's right-hand man, Brewski. Those three characters are consistent in almost all of my books. And because the ownership of the Golden Lion has been so gracious to me, like they've let me have book signings there. They're just great. They help a lot, and they're going to let us film there.
That's very cool.
Because there are several scenes that happen at the Golden Lion.
Yeah.
So we're going to film there. There's been a couple other businesses in Flagler Beach that have helped with sponsorships. We're going to do some filming at them. But like I said, we're still scouting locations for several of the other sets. We don't want to be intruding on too many places, especially like a funeral home or things like that. So we're going to have to build some sets. And we went and looked yesterday at a couple of different spots to build, for possibly building sets. We don't know. We haven't decided if we're going to do it in New Smyrna or Flagler. We want to film it in Flagler, but we're like I said, money talks. I hate to say that, but money talks.
That's the truth.
So we need help. It costs a lot of money to put together a TV show, and we don't have it. So.
Right. right. And we're going to get to that point in a second. I definitely want to talk about the financial aspect of all of this. But I will say, as a reader, it was super fun to recognize places around town. I just left a position that had me working at Grand Haven. I was in the Waterside Cafe every day.
I almost messaged you.
I know, but you weren't sure if I was there at that point yet.
Yeah. FPC's in the book.
Yeah.
Finn's, the Golden Lion, Grand Haven.
Yeah.
So yes, it's for me being here, I visualize that.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, I think that's the coolest thing about a story that films in your hometown, because you can recognize these locations. But then with the same turn, people who are viewing it across the nation or around the globe, they will like, I need to go there on vacation and see where this is and take my picture at this
Right.
restaurant.
And that's why the Golden Lion better be nice to you.
That's right.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, for sure.
Some towns are a little bit more receptive. New Smyrna Beach, the mayor reached out to us, offering whatever he could for us to use something down there. Now, it just so happens our funeral home's down there, which kind of lucked out. St. Johns County, same thing. If you come up here with locations, maybe we can do something for you guys. So, we're still open to options as far as the cities and towns go, but we're going to go where we get the most support.
Okay, so I have to ask you, has Flagler County done anything for you guys?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not as a government or a larger,
The
contributing
individual
tourism.
business owners
They have.
They've been and the people
The people, yeah.
have been incredibly supportive. As far as support
Government.
from the government or any of the
Officials.
tourism bureaus, anything like that.
Do you know when they'll get super supportive? Season 2.
Yeah, right.
By then it may be too late.
It will be too late. And that
shame.
that is, to me, that's this county's problem a lot of times. They never want to open up.
Right.
Steph and I work on this. If we're not sleeping, we're working on this project, and that's been our biggest question. Is like, why everybody knows about this. People we don't even know are approaching us saying, "I've been reading, following your thing. How can I help?" And not one word
Crazy.
from our own local people.
And especially with a tourism town, not just a tourism state, we're talking town.
Yeah.
I mean, you thrive on that. Your local businesses, Golden Line would have nothing if they relied on locals.
Yeah.
You gotta get tourists, because they're the ones spending the money. They're the ones coming and renting those hotels on the beach. So you think you would want to bring some interest.
Especially in these times where I'm sure that tourism in general has taken a pretty big hit in the last 8 or 9 months.
And then luckily for us, on our production, we're not gonna, it's not gonna be, imposed on anybody's property.
Right.
I mean, most of it's inside, and the stuff that's not, it's like the Golden Line. We'll film before they even open, or we'll film at the funeral home overnight. So your roads aren't gonna be shut down, you're not gonna have all these huge semis coming in. It's a smaller production, but people are they just need to loosen up.
Maybe they.
I agree.
Maybe
Well
they
said.
listen to this podcast and will go, "Oh, I should call them."
Well,
Who knows?
we will consider any and all offers for support because, like I said, it takes a lot of money.
Yeah. So we were talking a minute ago about things like, a screenwriter here and a so and so there and whatever. So let's talk about that. How do we fund this? How
We
do
have a
do this?
GoFundMe page first and foremost. I guess the easiest way to find it is if you're on Facebook.
The easiest way to find this is to check the show notes of this episode, and the
There you
link
go.
will be there.
Thank you. 'Cause I have to say this for the sake of clarity. The name of my company is Blindogg Books, and then this production, this TV show falls under another company called Blindogg Productions. And I've been using that name, Blindogg, since the early 90s. And the thing is, I don't spell it correctly. It's spelled wrong. There's 1 D and 2 G's. But I forget that because I've been saying it for so long. I forget to remind people. So I say, it's just Blindogg Productions. And they go on and they look for Blind Dog, spelled with 2 D's and 1 G. And I can't find that. Where is it? So if you're going to put links in the show notes, that will help greatly.
Absolutely.
1 D, 2 G's.
We should get T-shirts. That's what it'll say.
That's right. That's our slogan.
It is my slogan.
Are you looking to make a change in your kitchen, bathroom, family room, or garage? The Pelican has a solution for you. From custom designer metallic floors and countertops to a garage floor that will last a lifetime, true epoxy coatings can add an elegant touch to any room while improving your home's value. With over 25 years of experience, Pelican Coatings is Flagler County's foremost epoxy coatings contractor. If you imagine it, the Pelican can help bring it to life. Check out their Facebook page and see all of the amazing custom blended colors and designs Ed has created in homes and businesses all over the area. Then message them and schedule your free in-home design consultation. Pelican Coatings, coating the imagination. Yeah, so that's what you do at the beginning of this process. You start meeting people and talking to people and then going, oh crap, We gotta pay some people.
But
We've been lucky.
We have been. We've been very fortunate. People have actually stepped up and said, "How can I help?" Most people, I should say. Well, people in businesses. Like I said before, people in businesses have done that.
But our whole crew, our whole cast are signing on right now, not expecting anything. We're talking deferred payment, which means you'll get paid if and when we've paid back all of our expenses and, all that kind of stuff. Even our Hollywood director, we tried to talk money with him. He's like, not right now. But he calls us. I mean, he emails us every day. So he's thinking about this. He's into it.
You know what that means.
Yeah, I know what we think it means. What do you think it means?
I think that it means they know they got something.
That's exactly what we think. It's the confidence. Obviously, Steph and I have great confidence in this project, as does our entire crew. We have some amazing people, and like she said, they've all agreed to work basically for free, with the hope that it's going to be successful. Which is, it's understandable. You're local. You're from a small town in Florida, and you think, hey, this is a chance to get on a TV show. Mm-hmm. It's cool. At the very least, you can always say that you were involved. But for a guy that's directed, TV shows like Battlestar Galactica, NCIS, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, his wife is an actress. She was in the Hangover movies. Those people are excited. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what you said is exactly what we thought. They see something there.
Hey, I'm just a guy, right? But I enjoy TV shows. I'm a Netflix dude.
Yep.
And I love books, and I listen to the book in a week.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's not just because you were coming here, because, the book is good.
Thank you.
It made me want to listen to it every day. So if I'm a regular guy, and I think that, and I think, because Sue told me, they're turned into, I'm like, okay, so we got this guy coming, tell me about him. And she sends me the message, I'm like, okay. And I listen to the book, and I'm like, oh, this is out of the park. Wow. Like that, so I understand why you were on him about it, because maybe sometimes when you write something, you're so close to it, you're like, I don't know.
And if not knowing what to do in the industry,
But when I was 4 chapters in, and I was like, well, this chapter could be his own episode. Right. And this chapter can be his own episode. And this story can be in each episode as the ongoing story.
Yeah.
And I don't even produce a TV show.
Right.
So I can only imagine what a guy was like. And he can get on board early.
Yes.
And if you get picked up, he can be the main director of this show.
Exactly.
Well, here's the clincher on this end. Most people are looking for something to get purchased, and that's where they make their money. Well, when they do that, you lose all your creative control. They will get their own directors, they will get their own crew, they will get their own cast. So we have decided to maintain all creative control. So we will now run the entire project. Mm-hmm. We will keep, that thing running as much as we can with funds, and that gives us the right to say when and if it gets canceled. So with the video streaming now being so much bigger than any network programming out there, it's so much easier. Netflix will do their own, but they're kind of backing off because it costs them money. Mm-hmm. So they'll let people put their own stuff out there. Amazon will let their own people put stuff out there. So it's a win-win on our end, that we can make this work for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's like Steph was saying, we will be the ones who decide if and when it gets canceled. And again, it's all going to come down to money. Money talks. But again, with the confidence level that everybody has. I mean, here you are. You never heard of me a week ago.
No, seriously.
And you've already got that sense. And believe me, I'm not blowing my own horn by any stretch, but that's what everybody says. So, and Steph and I say it like at least twice a day. It's like, how can we miss? How can this not succeed? Mm-hmm. So
it's going to be on somewhere.
It will.
And I'm going to be watching it.
Sure.
We might have to buy one of those inflatable movie screens and show it in the park.
That would be cool, though. I mean, I'd go see it there, too.
Oh, and it didn't take much to inspire these people. Even our director, Alan Levy. I mean, I reached out to him because I'd worked on a pilot TV series in LA with him. And I'm like, well, that was like in 2013. And, we still communicate back and forth, social media, email, whatever. So I'm like, well, let's just ask. You don't know till you ask. Mm-hmm. Send him the book. The next thing you know, He's got ideas, and he's like running with this. And I mean, we're trying to keep up. We can't even catch up to the guy. So it's great. It's
when social media uses its powers for good.
Especially during COVID, because he had time now.
Right. Right.
Everybody had time.
That was the birth of this podcast. Was COVID right there? I mean,
it worked to our benefit. It really did.
Sometimes in bad things, blessings can come out.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that. I mean, I actually believe that nothing that happens is ever bad permanently. It's somehow something good will come from it. It may be bad at the moment, but eventually something good will come from it. That's just my belief. But that's not why we're here. So
how far are we away from starting to film? How far away are you?
You're on the team now. Excellent.
That we costs money.
Don't we
Johnny's
know
getting ready
it?
to leave now.
Well, listen, sitting here with our new studio upgrade and everything, we totally get that. I mean, we are self-funded currently.
No, filming is scheduled to start probably in the middle of June. And of course, that's not written in stone by any stretch, but and then we hope to release at least the pilot episode by October. From what I'm learning, again, you would not believe what I've learned in the last couple of months, but once it's filmed, that's just
that's the beginning.
That's the tip of the iceberg.
You got to edit it.
All that post-production.
One of the cool things, I have to say this before I forget, and we can come back to your question, but I do want to say that we're having a songwriting competition to have music. We want to play original music in the show, and we have got some great songs already. So anyway.
That's great. No, let's talk. Talk about that for a second. So when Johnny and I decided that we were really going to start this podcast, the second phone call I made was to a musician friend back in North Carolina, and even our theme music was written, just for us, and it's exciting. Tell me about that.
Well, I have several musician friends, and Steph. Again, anything that I say, it was not my idea. It was our idea. I might say me or I, but I mean us. Just I want to get that clear.
Okay.
So we decided that we needed music for the show because Steph did the research, and you would not believe how much it costs to play a Beatles song on a TV show.
Yes.
Oh my!
Yes, we would. Yes, we would.
Not to cut you off there, but one of my favorite TV shows of all time is The Wonder Years.
Oh, I love that show.
Okay.
I can't imagine how much it costs to make that.
So, you cannot watch The Wonder Years on any streaming service with the original music.
Really?
No way.
Because they, back in the day, in 80s or 90s,
late 80s,
they were using music, but they weren't paying.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
So, now, when you release it, you got to pay for all these. So, they replace a lot of the songs. I think only on the DVD you can get it. So, I know exactly. It's much better for you to get.
I mean, there's no way we would have. Well, maybe by season 3 we'll have that kind of money, but right now we're relying on original music. So I put out the word to a few musician friends, and a couple weeks later, a friend of mine, she sent me an email, and she said, me and Jeffrey, we collaborated, we wrote this song, and we think you might like it as your theme song for the show. So we listened to it, and halfway through the song, we have goosebumps. We're like, oh my God, this is just beyond perfect. Honest to God, I wish I could play it for you. It's just incredible. And that's for the opening theme song. Then what we'd like to do also is at the end of each episode, kind of like, when the show is ending and you're getting ready to roll into the credits, you have an original song playing that kind of echoes the tone and the mood of the show. And the
CW is huge for that. If you watch any show,
They
I
knew
knew
exactly
all
what-
kinds of new musicians that way.
That was kind of one of the inspirations for the idea. And we've got 2 submissions so far, and both of them are just out of this world. Perfect. I mean, it's like these people have already watched the show. That's how great these songs are.
I don't know if you know this, but I happen to live with a musician.
Joe's a musician?
No. So I have 2 kids, and now I have a bonus kid.
A bonus kid?
Yeah.
A famous bonus kid.
I know. One of my son's friends came to live with us at the beginning of COVID, really, kind of right after spring break, shortly after spring break. And we discovered that he was a musician and played some of his music because we could afford him. I just asked him if I could. but it's pretty. It's a powerful medium, and when you hear something that kind of blows you away like that,
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
And that is what social media and technology has done, right?
Oh,
it has
It's opened it up.
Yep.
for artists who don't have $1 billion
Yes.
Right.
to express their art.
Or for the artist who just hasn't been discovered yet, and given the odds, will never be discovered.
Right.
You know, if you went old school back in the day when you needed, you needed to have an agent and all that stuff, and
Right.
the
Or the
odds are so-
podcasters who want to get.
Yeah. Or people who want to make a movie.
Absolutely.
And you know,
I mean, it
same
really
with
does.
authors.
It makes the world a much smaller place.
Yes,
and
it does.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but and the collaboration that comes from it, it's like the synergy of it. Because look at what you're doing.
Yeah,
so you're
exactly.
You're filming this TV show, and now you're giving these musicians a chance. That TV show gets picked up. Now they're in the credits. Somebody hears the song. They go to iTunes. They stream it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we want to do. You know, and even with our actors, the local actors. Again, we say it all the time. You know, if nothing else, if neither one of us ever makes a dime from this, we're giving these local actors a chance to have something, what we think is really good on their resume. Which you know, I mean, they've all been in things, mostly commercials and music videos. Our lead actress Margot has been in a couple of shows, but she's obviously not a household name. She should be, but she isn't yet, and maybe she will be after this. But like you said, it just brings everybody together, and what amazes me is you learn how many incredibly talented people there are out there.
And they're just
they're
waiting for their chance.
Yeah.
Just waiting for their chance.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
So, there's that.
There is that. I love that local aspect to it. It's going to be super fun to watch this project unfold.
Get with it, Flagler County.
We are so excited. It's not even. You know, and the two of us, I don't know if it's obvious, but we don't get a whole lot of sleep these days because it's nonstop.
Right.
The amount of work is nonstop.
And you have a day job.
And we both have day jobs. And like I said, if we're not sleeping, we're working on this. And but neither one of us complains. I mean, we love it. We absolutely we love it. It's hard work and it's never ending, but it's fun at the same time. To see this grow. I don't even know. I can't even think of a metaphor, but it's just amazing.
And that's why funding is so important too, because trying to do this with a day job is really difficult. But you could imagine if we had funding and unlimited time,
Right.
how much better it could
Yeah.
even turn out to be for everybody, obviously.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly hope that as time goes on and more exciting things happen with this production, you'll come back and,
absolutely.
and keep us abreast of all the exciting things. To our listenership, we made some jokes, but definitely I would like, if you are listening to this right now, I want you to flip down to the show notes on your phones and take a look. We will link the Facebook pages. We will link the GoFundMe. Definitely, if you have a couple dollars burning a hole in your pocket, I think this would be a great place to send it. I'm super excited and feel, even though you're not doing it for me, but we live in the same community, a certain sense of gratitude for being a positive impact on where we live. And it's I wish you all the best, the most success.
Thank you. Just one note about the GoFundMe. Anybody who's ever wanted to be an extra in a TV show, if they make the right donation, their dream can come true.
Let me get my checkbook. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us today.
Thank you so much.
Super
This has
fun.
been a blast.
All right. So then we usually shoot the breeze for a second to have something to
I
wait out.
cannot wait.
I know.
I love the book.
Watch it now.
I love the book.
Thank
Like,
you.
and so like I said, as soon as I got into it, I was like, yeah, this is tailor made for a TV show.
Yeah.
It can't miss.
That's what everybody keeps saying.
It can't miss.
We haven't had, the only negative